This is a Tabernacle Tidbit, a bite-sized Tabernacle Talk of 5 minutes or less to help you get through your day when you only have a little bit of time. We hope this helps you to know Christ, grow in His Word, and show His love to others. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to Tabernacle Tidbits. Today we are in 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse number 23. In verse number 22, Paul, writing from an imprisonment in Rome to his protege in the faith, Timothy, who was a pastor in Ephesus, he wrote to him this: "Flee from youthful passions and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord from a pure heart." He says in verse 23, "But reject foolish and ignorant disputes, because you know that they breed quarrels." Here there is a resounding statement that is made. Here, this word to reject is to, if you will, it is to by request or entreaty, to decline, to avoid, to refuse. Here in your life, you are not going to be able to be always around people who do not want to argue, to have foolish and ignorant disputes, but you can choose whether or not you're going to be a part of that conversation. And in fact, when it comes to when people want to argue with you, when people want to have a fight, you get to choose in that moment either to enter the fight or to exit the fight. Here it's by request. It's to excuse oneself. It's to say, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to be talking about that with you. I'm sorry, I don't have time for this today. Please excuse me. I'm going to go." And frankly, as Christians, we need to be those that are constantly refusing to engage in fighting. There is far too much good to be done. There is too much encouragement to give. There is too much gospel to give out to others to waste our time fighting. And it is why we are called here to reject, to avoid foolish and ignorant disputes. This word foolish is the word moros. This is where we would get our word moron. Reject, moronic, foolish, stupid arguments. Here, ignorant, it is uninstructed, uneducated. Now, this isn't just, if you will, from a human angle. This isn't just they haven't graduated 12th grade, they don't have their GED, whatever. That's not the kind of ignorance that's being talked about. Though, maybe at times there might be an argument from ignorance that people could make. Here it is about spiritual matters. Those that just want to try and major on the minors, if you will. It might be those that really are super interested in only calling Jesus by, if you will, like ancient Hebrew names, by only reading specific translations. I've mentioned on here before those that would say something like, "Oh, well, the Latin Vulgate's the only Bible that you can read," or whatever the thing might be. There are foolish and ignorant disputes. These people that have not educated themselves from God's word, maybe even some of those that have not interacted at all with church history, that they don't know how God's people have behaved and have acted throughout the previous 2 millennia. And so they just want to start up fights. And here Paul says, refuse to be a part of it. If you've got people that they're always wanting to drag down other Bible-believing Christians, that their enemy is perhaps like one of the other Christian denominations, and that's what they spend all their time. Maybe it's a Calvinist that just wants to spend all of his time denigrating the Arminians, or an Arminian that wants to spend all of their time denigrating Calvinists. We don't have time to just be fighting our own. Certainly there's value in finding out what the truth is of God's word and of pursuing that, but there are some things that God has not made plain or clear And those things are never things that we should be arguing about. And that's exactly what Paul says here. Reject foolish and ignorant disputes because you know that they breed quarrels. They give birth to these strifes, this fighting between believers and in God's church. And that is not what we are called to. We're called to peace and righteousness and faith and love, even as we read in the previous verse. So today, you have the option to get into some arguments and get into some fights with family members, with coworkers, with friends, with people at your church, with people online. And you can choose to participate in fights and arguments that only result in heads being bashed together, only fighting, or you can choose to pursue God's way of peace and love and faith and righteousness and refusing to get tangled up in the weeds.